After everything everyone's been hearing about Sung Jinwoo across the world, everybody in the room is in awe. They don't know whether to revere him or to fear him. That's the Asian hunter who almost killed Thomas Andre. They say he played a big part in the Tokyo Gate as well. To think he knocked out Thomas, who's been ruling over the other hunters like a king. It's unbelievable, really. Once everyone settles in, the speaker finally takes the stage and the ceremony begins. Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Belzner. I'm sure you're all aware that there's been a recent spike in the number of gates and powerful beasts, but what many of you may not know is that we've detected some unusual activity in the skies. It's been widely reported that the concentration of mana that has been absorbed into the atmosphere is growing and increasingly dense. I like to refer to this particular type of mana by a different name. Until a more suitable term is available, I propose calling it the Magosphere. Did you know that this Magosphere is currently forming clusters in the sky above some countries? This phenomenon can be observed in a total of 9 areas, and this right here is where most of the Magosphere is concentrated. Seoul, South Korea. This gaffes everyone in the audience. They immediately start whispering amongst each other, because it's widely known that the most popular person in the room, and probably the world right now, is also from Seoul, South Korea. There's no reason to stare at Mr. Sung, everyone, because if he could control the Magosphere, he'd already be above and beyond the ranks of a hunter. Jinwoo thinks to himself, 9 places in total, huh? Could it have something to do with the number of monarchs? Dr. Belzner continues, there's no way to deal with this phenomenon at the moment since the cause is unknown. But that's not to say there isn't a need to address the situation. The world may soon face another profound change. The head of the FBH says, Dr. Belzner, is that the end of your presentation? And he replies, yes. Then I'll take it from here. I have an announcement to make to all the hunters gathered here today. It's with a heavy heart that I bring you this news. About 2 weeks ago, Hunter Christopher Reed was murdered by a group of unidentified assailants. And again, the audience as a collective is completely taken aback because he was yet another national hunter. Christopher Reed, a national level hunter, was murdered? He's kidding, right? There's just no way. Awakened beings who are equally as strong as a national level hunter are the only ones who can kill them. And then they all turn their suspicions to Sung Jinwoo. Could it be the guy who duked it out with Thomas just yesterday? He continues, Christopher Reed's official obituary will be released tomorrow. We have a suspect that we believe is responsible for the incident. We'll refer to him as Suspect S. The people in the audience began to think, then Sung Jinwoo, the guy who fought with Thomas, isn't the perpetrator? But that Asian man's face looks exactly like someone sitting here in this room. And then for the second time today, everyone in the room's suspicion turns again to Sung Jinwoo. Jinwoo thinks to himself, why my father? Dungeons are the ruler's realm. Then he remembers back to when Kamish said, my liege, there are 4 other humans who have borrowed the power of rulers. Please beware of them. I have no idea why the ruler sent a beast that looks like my father. Could it have something to do with what Kamish said? The FBH director continues, Suspect S was discovered in a gate on American soil and has since been determined to be a beast that can speak a human language. Because he spoke Korean, we asked S-rank hunter Hwang Dong-soo to interrogate him, but he knocked out Mr. Hwang during the interrogation and ran away. As for the Bureau's headquarters, it became engulfed in flames. The suspect was strong enough to defeat Hwang Dong-soo, a key member of the Scavenger Guild. We think there's a high possibility that other humanoid beasts also escaped from different dungeons all went after Christopher Reed at once. This is the conclusion we at the Bureau have come to. And Jinwoo notices something on the prompter. He's saying something. Then in the video, Sung Il-hwan says, don't you ever step foot in Korea. I'm not saying this for my son's sake, I'm saying it for yours. You will never rest in peace, even in death. You will never rest in peace, even in death, Jinwoo repeats to himself. Then we see his shadow heart starting to beat. Badom, badom, badom. He then says greed, and Greed says, your hunch is correct, my king. Jinwoo says, that man is definitely my father. The FBH director continues, we plan to ask all the guilds around the world to help us apprehend Suspect S. Please contact us if you locate this man, and that's all I have for you today. People in the audience begin asking questions. Is there any proof that Suspect S isn't human? He responds, the wavelength of his mana is identical to a beast. Next question. The suspect claimed to be a human who went inside a missing dungeon. Was the hunter he described himself to be a real person? Yes, he responds, he was a real person. Next question. Then why haven't you revealed that hunter's identity? Ah, he says, he has a connection to one of the hunters here today, so we decided not to disclose that information. Are there any further questions? Someone in the way back raises their hand and says, still, wouldn't revealing his identity help with the search? Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Brennan? And everybody in the audience looks back to see Luigi Zhang, China's 7-star hunter, asking the question. Let me ask you a direct question. What is the beast's relation to Mr. Sung Jinwoo? This catches Mr. Brennan off guard. He pauses for a second. Well, Mr. Liu, I guess you leave me no choice. During the interrogation, Suspect S identified himself as Mr. Sung Jinwoo's father. So we are using that as the basis of our investigation. Louis then directs his questioning to Sung Jinwoo directly. He says, Mr. Sung, what will you do if Suspect S turns out to be your missing father? And hunters who try to hunt him down. Jinwoo replies, it's only natural for hunters to hunt down beasts. So if the suspect is a beast, I'll take him down myself. But if he really is my father and not a beast, then he thinks about the time when Cha Hae-in almost died, and then the time when Jinho almost died, and says, then I'll simply have to hunt down the hunters. I'm going to protect my family even if it means turning all the hunters in the world against me. That ended the conference and everybody began shuttling into the hallway. Alan asked Sung Jinwoo, were you being serious back there? Jinwoo simply replies, yes. He says, I can't believe you said that in front of 500 top-ranking hunters from 120 countries. There's probably only one other person in the world who could get away with something like that. And Jinwoo says, and who's that? And he responds, he's hospitalized at the moment. In his head, Jinwoo pictures Thomas Andre laying in a hospital bed. There'll be a banquet now, Mr. Sung. The bureau worked hard to put it together, so if you aren't busy, how about dining with the other? And he was suddenly cut off as Li Zhizhang popped up out of nowhere. He began speaking to Sung Jinwoo in Chinese, which of course he couldn't understand. Jinwoo thinks to himself, what is he saying? And Alan pretty much reads his mind. He says, he said he defeated a giant off the coast of China, the one that you let slip away. Jinwoo says, you can speak Chinese too? Alan says, well, I am in charge of the Asia region, so I'm somewhat fluent in most Asian languages. Jinwoo says, okay, we'll keep interpreting. And he says, alright, Mr. Liu was surprised at how strong the giant was and that fighting the beast on the water made it especially difficult. He's been wanting to meet you ever since. He's been curious to learn more about the hunter who was able to defeat the powerful giants with ease. Also, he's glad you put Mr. Thomas in his place. He's positive Thomas was the one at fault. Jinwoo thinks to himself, I thought he was just a grumpy guy at first, but he seems like a pretty interesting person. Two top-ranked hunters shake hands. Li Zhizhang begins speaking one more time, and whatever he said caught Alan off guard because he was a little bit delayed with his interpretation. He says, which is why he truly hopes the suspect isn't your father. Liu takes his leave, leaving Jinwoo to ponder what just happened. Since he's clearly some kind of magic beast, Mr. Go thinks to himself, will I be able to communicate with him? I can't feel his presence, and I don't think this is an opponent I can handle. Monarch of Frost begins forming an ice shard in his hand and says, this place has already been completely cut off from the outside world. Mr. Go thinks to himself, am I dreaming right now? Frost fires a shard of ice at Mr. Go's shoulder. The point of impact begins to mutate into more and more ice, slowly freezing Mr. Go's entire shoulder. Does that pain you feel like a dream to you? He says, clearly reading Mr. Go's mind. Mr. Go says, alright, I get it. This is reality. I'll ask again, who are you? Response, I was hoping you'd recognize me first, but I suppose you really are just a human. Just a human, Mr. Go thinks to himself. Frost continues, I have no interest in trampling on the weak. Show yourself, fragment of brilliant light. Are you afraid that your vessel will break if you do? Either way, your vessel's life will soon come to an end. While forming a ball of ice in his hand, he says, if you're hiding because you're scared, then you're no longer worth talking to. He flings the ball of ice at Mr. Go. Mr. Go instinctively braces for impact, which resulted in a thunderous, icy explosion. Long last we meet, Frost says. Through the smoke, you can see the glowing eyes of Mr. Go. He fires another one of those frost balls at him. This time, Mr. Go deflects it with his fist and easily redirects it away from him. Frost says, the greatest fragment of brilliant light. And Mr. Go, with a slightly different tone to his voice, says, you isolated my office in a dimensional gap? I'm impressed. Frost responds, I've been searching for you for a long time, but I never imagined you'd be trapped inside a broken vessel, unable to use your powers. I already found all 7 of you, and we've crushed 2 of you so far. My face? I wanted to see panic flood that prideful face of yours. Now I can destroy your vessel without any regrets. I'm gonna give it your best shot, Monarch of Frost, Mr. Go responds while charging up his mana. Frost says, you're choosing to resist? How foolish. Taking over this human's body, whereas yours is merely borrowed. Do you really think you stand a chance against me? Persona auras stand down between Mr. Go and Frost, and you see ice is slowly taking over the room. Suddenly, Frost sends an ice wave directly at Mr. Go. Instead of trying to dodge, Mr. Go leans back and slams the wall of ice with his forehead. Using that momentum, he rushes towards Frost. Throws this ferocious looking punch at him. Nearly at the same time, Frost fires this ice spear at him, which Mr. Go dodges. Now we swing on him with the left fist. This time, Frost puts a hand out and summons more ice. Effectively freezes the entire left side of Mr. Go's body. It's not enough to stop him though. Mr. Go flexes and continues his punch through the ice. Continue this back and forth to the point where we see this high-speed clash. Mr. Go thinks to himself, I have to settle this quickly. If this fight goes too long, my body will fail me. Shown another high-speed clash between Mr. Go and Frost. Suddenly, Mr. Go begins to slow down. He starts feeling wobbly and falls to one knee. He thinks to himself, is this my limit? Frost notices as well and he says, is that all your vessel is capable of? Disappointing. Fragment of brilliant light. Suddenly he vanishes, then appears right in front of Mr. Go before he can react. Stabs Mr. Go right below the heart with an ice spear. Frost says, I wonder how long it'll take for you all to find new vessels. A year? 2 years? Unfortunately, our army's already here. They'll lay waste to this world before your troops even arrive. Your mistake was trying to protect the inhabitants of this world. Do you really think you could defeat us while directing your attention elsewhere? Did we really seem that weak to you? Mr. Go cracks a smile and grabs the ice spear that's embedded in his chest. He says, do you think I decided to fight against you for no reason? Just as we didn't expect you all to imitate our methods, you overlooked one crucial variable. And Frost says, a variable? And suddenly, powerful concentrated mana begins to swell up in the body of Mr. Go. It grows and grows until it becomes a brilliant orb of mana. Mr. Go turns and fires it towards the wall of the building. Frost, a little bit confused at the encounter, says, See the skin burning off of Mr. Go's hand, the abilities are literally eating at his body. That was a close one, Frost says. Was that your trump card? Mr. Go smiles and says, yes. Finally, we see a small crack where the blast landed on the wall, and then the crack begins to expand, until it eventually reaches a shattering point, and Frost says, you did all that just for this? This won't make a difference. Still smiling, Mr. Go says, now. A giant chimera ant bursts from his shadow and jumps directly out of the hole he created in the wall. Denizen of chaos, Frost says. What could one measly soldier possibly achieve? He notices the vapor from the shadow of the ant and says, a black afterimage. Could it be? He says, slowly starting to panic a little bit. He immediately makes a break for the window to follow the ant. At this point, the ant is outside and kind of messing up traffic. The silhouette of Frost tailing him from a distance. The next silhouette, he gets a little bit closer, preparing to attack. And the second he manages to attack, the ant vanishes. For the first time, the Monarch of Frost is frozen in his tracks. What his blade managed to connect with was the hand of none other than Jinwoo. We see Jinwoo towering over him menacingly. He reaches out and grabs Frost by the neck and brings his face closer to his. Jinwoo looks Frost dead in his eyes and says, what are you? An ice elf? Fighting for air, Frost says, I sense a multitude of soldiers within your shadow. Monarch of Shadows, why didn't you contact us despite gathering an army of that size? The whole time he's asking these questions, Jinwoo was thinking about the ice elf that he couldn't turn into a shadow. He thinks to himself, just when I was about to forget. Frost says, could it be? Are you the crucial variable he was talking about? He begins laughing while charging up mana in his mouth. Ice begins quickly climbing up Sung Jinwoo's left arm. Then Frost fires this massive blast of ice from his mouth. Sung Jinwoo instinctively backs off to avoid the blast, but his arm is still frozen in ice. He thinks to himself, is he a mage type? Slowly, his daggers begin materializing in the ice, which shatters the ice completely and frees him from it. Frost says, that's enough for the day. I'm not here to fight with my life on the line. Jinwoo was like, what? Frost says, aren't you here to rescue that human? Jinwoo thinks to himself, human? Come to think of it, this is the ant I assigned to the chairman. Wait, don't tell me. And his eyes quickly turn to the hole Mr. Go created in that building. We see him standing there, kneeling, and you can see the hole through his chest from a mile away. Frost raises a spear of ice and points it in the direction of Mr. Go and says, now, choose. Fight against me or rescue that human. Before Jinwoo could respond, he fires a spear towards Mr. Go. Jinwoo tries to use Commander's authority, but apparently Frost mana is resistant to it, so it doesn't really have an effect. Jinwoo is now facing a tough dilemma: allow the Monarch to escape or allow Mr. Go to die. Without a second thought, he dashes directly towards Mr. Go. He tries to throw his dagger to intercept the ice spear, but the spear curves around the path of the dagger and the dagger gets lodged into the wall. We get the point of view of the spear, which is very close to its target. At the very last second, Jinwoo appears and is able to block the spear before it's able to make impact with his dagger. Able to block the full force of the spear, he redirects it and it slams into a building, causing a massive amount of damage. Visibly enraged, Jinwoo scans around to see where Frost went. He finds him, he's in the process of opening a gate to escape. Using Ruler's authority, Sung Jinwoo activates Dagger Rush. We see the daggers begin to materialize out of the shadows. He fires them directly at Frost, attempting to catch him before he can step into the gate. While he's able to block a few of them still catch him in the back. Frost says, a mere vessel actually managed to inflict a wound on me? And he turns around to look at Sung Jinwoo with Dagger still in his back, smiling, saying, well, I, the Monarch of Frost, will retreat for now and wait for the days in which your shadow opens up once more. Take that soon-to-be corpse and add him to your army of dead soldiers and consider a gift from me to you. With that, he steps into the portal while laughing maniacally the entire time, and Jinwoo grits his teeth saying, that bastard. Then his attention immediately turns back to Mr. Go. He thinks to himself, did I not sense anything until now because of the barrier? Damn it. On the ground next to Mr. Go, he examines the blood loss and realizes it's too late for a healing potion. Quickly running out of options, he calls for Biru, who is still with Jinna. Biru flies from where he's at as fast as he possibly can. He's next to Mr. Go and says, you called me king? He says, yes, save him at all costs. Biru begins focusing all the energy he has into healing Mr. Go. To no avail, he says, my king, my healing spell isn't working. Mr. Go begins coughing. You can kind of see the life fading from his face. Who pulls out the holy water of life and says, that's right, the holy water of life might be able to. Mr. Go reaches up and grabs his hand and tells him, put it away. You came for me, Mr. Go says, thank you. Jinwoo says, please hang in there, I'll take you to a hospital. and weakly running out of energy, running out of life force, he says, "It's no use. There's nothing a human can do about the power that attacked me." Came face to face with the will of a supreme being. Plan our remaining foes as well as theirs. The things we must do. Who screams out Mr. Go as he begins coughing his lungs out. Go says, "I'm grateful for your existence. What a tremendous relief. Who would have thought you possessed such powers? Thank God." Biru slowly removes his hand from the chest of Mr. Go and deactivates his healing abilities. Turns out the gates and the dungeons weren't for them. It's how they chose to protect us. Someday you'll have to make a decision, but when that day comes, please continue to stand on the side of humanity, he says with tears rolling down his cheeks. He begins coughing a little bit more, but then continues, "I wanted to fight alongside young hunters like you, but that's never gonna happen with this body. Still, I no longer have any regrets since I can leave the rest in the hands of the younger generation. After tens and thousands of heartbeats, I knew I didn't have much time left. Even so, my heart must have kept beating no matter how weak the pulse so I could meet you." That's right, it was to meet you, and what a relief. "Thank you, Sung Jinwoo, thank you," he says as he closes his eyes for the last time. And we're showing a silhouette of Sung Jinwoo sitting there staring at the late chairman and from the massive hole that he created in his final battle. Slowly we see a few drips of rain falling from the sky, and then more, until finally we see a full-blown rain shower as if the world instinctively knew they just lost a great man. The autumn rain fell for days, accompanied by a cold gust of wind. Several breaking news stories appeared on the front pages of newspapers around the world. Brazil's great hunter, Jonas, had been found dead by the river. The chairman of the Korean Hunters Association had been brutally murdered after suffering a stab wound to the chest. Christopher Reed, the great hunter Jonas, and now Go Gun-hee, the chairman of the Korean Hunters Association. So the successive deaths of some of the world's best hunters were reported on the news. The world fell into a state of panic. Major media outlets from across the globe covered the news of their deaths for days on end, and the Federal Bureau of Hunters even issued a statement regarding the events. Hunters have been protecting civilians for years, but who will be able to protect the hunters? Deaths of the world's greatest hunters evoked a whole new level of terror. Shown drops of rain beating heavily on the coffin of the great Go Gun-hee. Also shown Sung Jinwoo standing at the funeral with his head down, shadows covering his face. He looks over and says to Mr. Woo, "Are you okay?" And we're shown Mr. Woo, who clearly has been taking care of himself, and you know he used to be extremely clean cut. He says, "My apologies, Mr. Sung. I've been a little out of it lately. The beast that murdered the chairman, was it really unstoppable even with your powers?" Woo replies, "By the time I got there, he was already..." Mr. Woo drops his umbrella, looks up to the sky and says, "I still can't believe it. The day before, he told me he wanted to hear all about our trips to the States. He urged me to hurry back, but now he's... Thank you for being with the chairman in his last moments." Woo replies, "No, I swear upon my life I will kill the beast that murdered the chairman. Please, do not thank me until then." With tears rolling down Sung Jinwoo's face, he says, "Could you gather the reporters for me?" One of you switches to the SBC and it says, "Despite the somber mood following the chairman Go Gun-hee's death, reporters flock to the press conference." Jinwoo reports, "A group of beasts with high levels of intelligence are targeting the world's top tier hunters. Stronger than any hunter out there and will use any means to achieve their goals." A reporter replies, "You said a group of beasts. Does that mean the beast that killed Chairman Go Gun-hee wasn't working alone?" Jinwoo replies, "These beasts use magic to isolate their target before they attack. So for those who think they might be a potential target, please stay with colleagues who can protect you." He thinks back to his last moments with the Monarch of Frost. He said, he called himself the Monarch of Frost. Like the Monarch of the Beginning and the Monarch of Shadows, he also carries the title Monarch. Of course, not even the strongest hunters in the world could win against him. Then he says out loud, "But for those of you who don't have such colleagues, please contact me through the Korean Hunters Association."